Welcome, everybody. This is Classic Talk. This is what number are we on? I believe we're on number 12. If not, it'll be different in the title, but it's number 12. I got my brother here, Chris. Chris kind of wants you to introduce your own self.
Right.
Tell the people not your name because I just told them your name, but tell them a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where you're at now, like what you love doing, what are your passions, stuff like that.
All right. Well, I'm Chris. That part's out of the way. I am originally from just outside of Detroit, from Metro Detroit, West Bloomfield.
Shout out West Bloomfield.
Suburbs. Then came from West Bloomfield, went out to Arizona after college, stayed there for a few years, and then found my way out to Los Angeles, various parts. Went to Woodland Hills, Van Nuys, Mar Vista.
Wait, lived in all them places? Lived in all those different places? Okay. So you've been around, okay.
Yeah, when I first came out to California, I got sent out to what I was told was Los Angeles.
Put the mic a little closer.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah, I was sent to where I was told was Los Angeles. Turns out it was Orange County. It was Irvine, and that is not.
You're a little down there.
And I was not at all. It was just not at all where I was expecting to be and what I was expecting it to be. Then went back to Arizona, but I still fell in love with California, and then went back to Arizona for a few months, and then got a chance to come back out here. Back in like 2009, I think. Man, a long time ago.
So everyone asks the question, not everyone, but hear it all the time. What brought you out to LA? What was the main initial reason? Or was there a reason, or was it kind of spontaneous? Like you said, you went to Arizona, all that. Like, what kind of led you here? Anything specifically?
That's a great question. It could be answered a couple different ways. The literal answer, it was work. I had started a business with my older brother in Arizona, which is what brought me from Michigan to Arizona right after college. I went to Michigan State. And then he was the one that ended up sending me to Orange County to open up a new franchise of our Arizona business. And I went out there, did that, came back, and then I went out to Columbus, Ohio, did the same thing out there, came back, and then it was between going out to Columbus, Ohio for a year or going to Los Angeles for a year, because one of those two franchises needed someone to run them full-time for, well, it was supposed to be 3 months, but there was always an option to extend it to a year. And I chose Columbus because I was from Michigan. My sister lived in somewhere, Ohio. Forgive me, Tammy. Cleveland. She lives in Cleveland. Not necessarily near Columbus, but much closer than Arizona. My dad's in Michigan, so I still had family out there. Came from the Midwest. I figured Columbus was the way to go. Found a house for $375 a month. And granted, this was back in 2009, but like a whole house, like a whole big ass, like it wasn't a huge, but it was a whole house for under $400 a month. So it was easy decision. I'll go to Columbus. And they're like, well, we really want you to go to Los Angeles.
By the way, $400 in LA, what would that get you?
A couch?
Yeah, if that, yeah. In someone's,
not even someone's share with somebody else.
Yeah.
No, it's preposterous out here. Although at one point I was paying sub $400 a month.
Speaking of that, that's kind of how you're talking about the district.
Absolutely.
Okay, so to kind of give a backstory on me and Chris and kind of how we met is through my brother Floyd. Actually, me and Floyd have known each other our whole lives basically, and you want to pop a camera to say hello? Just look at the camera and say what up real quick. People maybe want to see you. This is my bro. We got 2 cameras. There you go. Yeah. No, but yeah. So Floyd's been out here for some time, and then we've grown up together. We've known each other like our whole lives, like probably since I don't know, I was 4 or 5. I don't know how old I was, but super fucking young. We got pictures when we were little babies. We went to daycare together. We went to fucking Tricks Elementary. We went to Area E Academy. Anyway, so long story short, he's did his traveling and ended up in California too. And over time, he would kind of like not throw hints to come through to LA, but just like, yo, like you should come to California, check it out. And I'll hit up him on like Facebook and stuff. And because he grew up in Detroit, and then I moved to Redford at a certain age. And once I moved to Redford, we still kept in like communication, but not as much as it was when we were in Detroit. But like still over time, we still talked. And anyway, he moved out here, and then he would pretty much tell me to come out here, come check it out. And then eventually got to a place where he's like, there's a spot if you want to come out here, like for real. And then that spot ended up being in this place that we're talking about, the district, where he's talking about the low rent. And so I moved into this place.
It was magic. It was like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the first and this won't be the first or last time I reference the 1990 live action Ninja Turtles movie. But
he just did about 10 minutes ago for those who don't know.
April O'Neil has the antique shop and then lives in an apartment above it, and now the Foot Clan dudes come in and they kidnap Raphael and shit. Like that was always the coolest place in the world. And like the district we lived above a skate shop. I felt like a Ninja Turtle all the time. Our rent was $400 a month. Like I think a little bit less than that with cable and Nate charging us an astronomical amount and never actually looking what the bill was. It ended up being like more towards $500.
Yeah, I was gonna say mine was a little more, but I was a newcomer.
You also came in
at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, but at that point,
it went up a couple times. Yeah.
Yeah,
and then
it did. It was fluctuating back and forth, but I mean, still. Yeah.
For those who can't hear Floyd in the background, he said when he moved in, it was $380. But regardless, this place was it was a skate shop.
Yeah, it was
and they lived above it. It was 5 of them. Well, one moved out when I was moving in. I kind of took that person's place or room or whatever. But so there was 5 people. When I moved in, there was 5. It was me, you, it was Floyd, it was Senior, and it was Jeff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so there's 5 of us in this living above a skate shop.
House for wayward boys, man. We're just a bunch of dudes in our 30s
on Venice Boulevard, and then the good neighborhood, Mar Vista. I remember rollerblading to the beach, like down to the fucking ocean, like pretty fucking close. But like rent was super cheap. For like looking back, I'm like, damn, like I get it now. What he's saying, like how cheap it fucking was, like for living. But it was 5 dudes living above a skate shop, and like. I mean, you can call it like a flat. It wasn't
right
like,
next to a Taco Bell.
Yeah, they ate at Floyd and Chris was at pretty much every day. I was there not too long ago, and then I was gonna send a picture. Like I was right by there. Like I want to send y'all. Like yo, I'm right by the spot. But yeah, it was a skate shop right by there. Lived above it. It was like 5 people, but it didn't seem like 5 people living. Like it wasn't small, but it was small for 5 people. Like, but it didn't seem like that. Maybe because the rooms are bigger and like there was space. We had a big ass living room,
wide open floor plan, and the rooms. Some of the rooms are like 10 by 20 feet. Some of them were like more regular sized rooms. But I mean, it was like you said, there was 5 dudes in there, and 5 dudes with a lot of stuff. Like I had a full drum kit. There's a full living room setup. Sometimes some dudes would have full on camera setups from jobs we were working on, just laid out in the middle of the living room.
Yep. They were creators, so it was like perfect. Like he had his drum set, and like then we started connecting too, because like I said, I met Chris through Floyd. So like Floyd I've known my whole life, so it's like I feel like we talked about this before. Like you're my best friend now. He's my best friend. I've known him my whole life. Now you're my friend. It just whether you like it or not, you're my friend now. But like it's kind of those situations. Like if you know someone, you trust someone, you got love for someone, and they have the same love and respect and like connection with their other friend that you don't know, and then once you meet them, it's like it all makes sense.
This is
so
how
like,
that works sometimes.
We started
in the same direction as somebody else, and you just meet somebody randomly from that extended circle. Join us, won't you? And
so it's like we ride together. So it's like it's cool. Like and like I don't know, but like so yeah, we're living in the skate shop or whatever. Like you said, the rent was super cheap. You made your way to LA or whatever. Like talk about your first months here, maybe your first like year. So was it difficult at first? Was it cake?
My situation was kind of interesting. To go back to to tie up the end of that last story. Like I said, I had chosen to go to Columbus. I figured that was the easiest way to go, it was the cheapest route, and it was closer to family. And then and it ended up being a better opportunity or a better option to go to Los Angeles. But again, it was supposed to be for 3 months. So I was working the same job. I just was moving it from one location to another, moving it from Arizona to California. So I kept my apartment in Arizona. I grabbed a garbage bag full of clothes, worked all day in Arizona, and then drove the mobile business overnight to California and continued another work day in California. Went and visited my buddy Nate, who was at the district, the skate shop with us, because that's how life works. Everybody.
Thank you for leaving the district, Nate. And well, another long story short.
I moved in because he left. And
they sold the building.
Leaving, so.
They basically sold the building, and now it's like an MMA gym, basically. So when I came to California, it was like they were basically on their way out the building. So one of the roommates was happening to leave, found his own place or whatever. So he left, and I kind of made my way in. So that's why I was thinking.
This whole conversation is going to be me complaining about the district and the fact that it got sold, and I can no longer live like a Ninja Turtle anymore. But now live in the Foot Clan. It's a different story for different times. Anyway,
long live the district.
Long live the district. This people of district. But yeah, so I ended up coming out to California, continuing on, went to visit my buddy Nate, who was living out there, because he used to work with us in Arizona, because we bring everyone with us. But I was kind of living out of the back of the truck, found an apartment for 3 months, lived on an air mattress and some Walmart furniture, and my 3 months expired at the apartment, and I wasn't going anywhere. So I found an apartment with Nate. We found another spot somewhere near Van Nuys, and then ended up going through the end of that year, still not really knowing I ended up giving up the apartment about halfway through that in Arizona. And then finally it kind of just hit me that I guess I live in California now because I've been here for a year. The year expired at work, and different story for a different time. We ended up not continuing that arrangement. And I kind of, just called my brother who was running the business at the time. I was like, yo, what's up? Like, I've been here for a year. You clearly have found someone to replace me. He's like, yeah, there's no desk for you or anything to come back. So, I mean, you can come back and we can figure something out. Or if you don't need to come back, you can stay in California. I'm like, well, I mean, I've always wanted to move to California. And that's kind of, the different answer to the what brought you out here question. Because I grew up playing music and being into pop punk and punk rock and surf and skate culture, even though I lived in Detroit and there was no surfing anywhere. I still to this day can't say can't surf, just have not had any surfing experience. Not much of a skateboarder myself either. One time I got a skateboard. We had a long slope driveway. I went to go down and then kicked the back of the board, and it shot up and hit me right in the spot that makes you want to give up skateboarding for the rest of your life, which is what I did. But I was always into the punk rock, the skate, that kind of thing, the colored hair. Always thought that that's where I wanted to be around, the kind of people I wanted to be around. And, growing up as the internet was first starting, I was told that Southern California was where that stuff is. The San Diego, the Orange County, the Los Angeles, the Venice, all those places. So there was always in the back of my mind that that's where I wanted to end up. And one day I just woke up and I was already living here. Well, let's see if I can actually do something.
Might as well stay.
And that was 10 years ago.
Yeah. So you've been here 10 years now?
I've been here 10 years 11 years, 1 year in the work situation.
What were we talking about? By the way, if this all looks different and sounds different, hey, welcome back. We just had some technical difficulties. Someone came in and unplugged the laptop, and that someone was me, and forgot to plug the laptop in. And now I'm taking accountability, and now we're jumping right back into it. But do you remember what we were talking about by any chance?
Man, do I not.
Cool, perfect. So we'll I do know what we're talking about.
You were talking about something. I think I was still giving my way too long, convoluted, drawn-out story about where I've lived before.
Oh, yeah. So living. Okay, so LA. So we'll jump into LA. We'll just get right back to LA. We'll get in. So that's what we're talking about, the beginning stages, the beginning months, years. Can you talk about the ups and downs over the years for anyone who may be watching this, who may be thinking about moving to a place they're unfamiliar with? Or everyone has their own stories, obviously, but I'm sure for those who come here without a super large financial backing or a bunch of money in your pocket or bank account, if you don't come here like that, there's probably going to be some struggles along the way. Can you relate to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Not to, sound pretentious or anything, or be dramatic, but Los Angeles is a tough place to live. It's not super easy. It's a wonderful place to live. There's a lot of different little smaller cities and suburbs and communities all over the big Los Angeles County, but it is not the easiest, most carefree place to live, with just the expense of it, the amount of people that are here, the sheer magnitude of it all the people that come out here to live out their dreams and do something creative and reinvent themselves. But on the other side of that, this is where people usually come to try to reinvent themselves and create something and do something that they felt at least they couldn't do somewhere else. So if you can stay out here and you want to stay out here, it becomes kind of, again, not to sound like a douche, but a little bit of a badge of honor. Like, the longer that you can stay out here and the more you can build and the more you can accumulate, not necessarily in a materialistic sense, but in just, a stability standpoint or a foundation standpoint. And the longer you can stay here, the more this place can actually feel like home, and you can really start to take advantage of the networking and the community and just the energy that out of all the places I've lived, I've never lived anywhere else quite like it out here.
I can relate to that too. And it's like a fight too. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be a warrior to be out here. You got to fight your way through it. There's ups and downs. There's going to be nights you don't know what's going on the next day. Like, it's all, but like you said, if you want it, you know what I mean? You got to have the brain power. You got to have the willpower. You got to have the focus, the dedication. Like me, myself, I've gone back and forth back from here to Michigan. I've had different reasonings from looking back from, missing family, stuff like that, but also being difficult. And I think looking back, like, okay, it's getting hard. Like, and you have comfort zones, maybe, or comfort zones that you're in already in a different place, a different state that might be a little easier for you. You know what I mean? So I feel sometimes I went back, like it took, now I feel at home, like you said, after a certain amount of time, it could start to feel like home. And now it does, you know what I mean? Because I would call Michigan, I would say back home, this, which is, it's still my heart and it's my family and all that. But like, I feel like this is home now, like California, this is where I'm at now. And it's been a fucking fight. Like, and the fight doesn't end. I mean, you keep going, there's different levels to this shit. But I mean, like, the more you fight, the better it gets. And I don't want to say the easier it gets, but the more easier it is to adapt.
You have. And it's not to say that, like, you know, it's a fight, it's a struggle just to make it sound hard, or, you know, to put, you know, self-instantiated consequences or anything. But I mean, it is a fight. And I mean, that mentality of fighting through it can keep you motivated. And like, you can actually use that to, you know, maybe do some things that you wouldn't be excited about doing in other situations. But it goes back to what you said. You really have to want to be here. I mean, there's a lot of people that, you know, are from Los Angeles or from California that necessarily don't have to feel like they're constantly being pushed out or they need to fight to stay relevant or anything. But I think if you're coming out here with the goal of starting something or creating something or producing something, you have to want to continue to do that. And it's not there. I mean, there are tons of other places that you can live and get much more land and pay a lot less and have more resources. But there's something about it with the networking, with the energy, with the people out here that keeps me here. There's a lot of times I'll wake up like, man, why am I still here? I am way too close to 40 years old. Yeah. Maybe I can go retire in Iowa or some shit. But then something pops up or the phone rings or you hear something. And at least up until now and still through this current moment, this has been the place that all of the opportunities that I've been blessed with have come from.
That was the word in my mind, is opportunity. It's opportunity and growth too. Like, I remember Floyd, speaking of Floyd again, like one of the times I was going back to Michigan, I feel like I called him or talked to him, like, yo, telling him how I felt. Like, I think I'm about to go back to blah, blah, blah. And I remember him asking, like, how do you feel about it? And I remember him saying, like, staying here, basically, like, it's how much growth do you want? Like, how much do you want to grow? And like, I don't think I got it at the time, but like looking back, I get what you're saying. Like, it's like, how much do you want to grow? Like, he wasn't saying if you go back to Michigan, you're going to stop growing, but like, in a sense, kind of, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, at least if I would have, I think in a sense, I would have stopped growing in certain aspects, you know what I'm saying? Like, not saying I would have stopped anything, but it's like being back and like being home now, I feel like, you know what I'm saying? It's like growth. You keep growing, you find out your strength, how strong you are. You find out
by staying out here and expanding whatever it is that you're doing out here, you can do it anywhere else, but this is a perfect place to do it.
In my analogy, kind of for life, in my, how I view it is like when you're growing like a plant. I'll just put it in weed perspective. I'm not going to say I grew weed anytime, but I'll use it like a plant, just a metaphor as a plant. Like, put the seed there, whatever, and say you got a small pot, like, and the smaller the pot, the smaller the flower, the smaller it grows, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, the bigger the pot, the bigger that plant's going to be, that you're going to have more yield, you know what I'm saying? So I felt like when I moved my pot from, say, Detroit to come to LA, this is a much bigger pot. There's more opportunity. There's growth here. So I extended my pot, and then the growth, now I can blossom more. Now I can grow more, and I can, you know what I'm saying, bloom. But talking to opportunities, and you said a lot of opportunities from being here. I want to talk about that kind of what we talked about, the ups and downs. Let's talk about some of the ups. Let's talk about opportunities you've been a part of and what you've been like. One of the first questions I asked when we started was like kind of what you're into, and that, which is like, I'll kind of speak for you right now, but like, it's music, it's anywhere from graphic design. You could speak more about that, but I mean, like, you're everywhere with it. But
you're spot on. Those are the things that I'm into, and not to sound cliche, but I mean, I've stumbled into more opportunities just being in Los Angeles than I ever would have trying to find something to do in any of the other places that I've personally lived before, at least in my experience. Like, I accidentally got jobs on TV shows. I somehow stumbled into music video shoots. I had no experience and got...
What kind of shoots? Because the first name that came to my mind was Beyonce. I think you did like you said you couldn't. They said you couldn't. Can we? I don't know if we could talk.
We don't talk about a lot of the things because out of the respect for all the crews and the people that I've worked with before.
Edit, cut. No,
but yeah, I got super lucky to just be at the right place at the right time to work for a couple different production companies that were doing music videos for some super popular high-end artists, and it was an amazing experience. And Beyonce is a wonderful person. Justin Bieber is a wonderful person.
No, I don't know if I'm gonna edit this. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna. No.
I think he's a super nice dude.
Only reason I'm not saying anything right now is because I have to confirm things before I speak. I'm not gonna speak on something I'm not 100% sure, but I'm 99% sure. So there might be a future video that some words I want to speak right now will come up. But anyway, that has nothing to do with him right here. But I don't want to be on Justin Bieber dialogue. So anyway, opportunities and.
But yeah, with my situation in particular, I was short story to come out of the job I was doing in Los Angeles. I needed money, and I was playing in a band, but I needed work, and the stuff I was doing was video game related. It was in the video game field, and we had done a lot of promotional work with a video game retailer that sells video games to children, and they're still around. But I ended up getting a job at that company, corporate retail, and I thought it was something that I could do, be mindless, work my 40 hours and still do the music thing. And that was tough. I fell right into normal life, go at home on the weekends and drink wine and watch Dexter. And I hated it. And it was just like, it was suburban, regular life. And I lived in a house in North Hollywood. And I didn't hate it. It was fine, but it wasn't anything. I could have done that anywhere, and I could have made more money and had more money and had a car, and I've had things that normal people have, and didn't have any of those things and wasn't enjoying it all. But I stayed with the company for longer than I ended up getting fired from the company. A wonderful, upstanding, phenomenal company for irrelevant reasons. But I posted on social media that I was leaving my place of work, and a kid I used to babysit for, one of my little brother's best friends, Kyle, shout out to Kyle, happened to be on a traveling TV show and needed help, and saw my social media post, and him and I hadn't talked in a few years. But he said, hey, it's not the best gig in the world. It's overnight, essentially janitor gig, but it's on a TV show. And if you have any kind of TV experience, and I went to college for digital media, I'm like, I don't, but I know you don't either. Or I knew he.
What was the gig?
It ended up being for a TV show called Bar Rescue.
Okay, yeah.
Which is a reality show. They travel around and fix up failing bars, and it's a phenomenal show. If you haven't seen it already, it's a wonderful television program. But I ended up doing an overnight janitor gig at a bar in Burbank for this show. And I remember walking in to the tech room and looking at all the cameras and all the tripods and all the lenses. I'm like, this stuff is so cool.
Man,
I don't know what any of this stuff is. I went to Michigan State for digital media, but we were using high 8 tapes and DMAT stuff, and it was just
the inspiration behind it, though, the walking into it and the seeing everything you're saying.
Literally, my first, it was supposed to be a one-night gig. It was that night I walked in and saw all those cameras. I'm like, this is awesome. And it was in front of a green screen wall because it was at a studio, or they were renting out a studio as their production office. And I was just blown away. And it was just so cool. Again, with the job being just working overnight and cleaning stuff, there's not really a whole bunch of people around, so I was kind of just staring at all the gear. No one was telling me what to do. I was
but that inspiration is more than that paycheck.
Absolutely. The paycheck was it was better than what I was getting paid at the.
And there's paycheck. There's all sorts of paychecks out here. You talking about this remind me. I've done there's audience work out here. You can sit in a crowd at a TV show like Steve Harvey or you know what I'm saying, at a show, and they pay you to watch the TV show get televised. There's all sorts of behind the scenes, in front of the camera. You can be an extra in a you know what I mean? There's all sorts of ways to make money out here. So, you know what I mean? It may not be the biggest paycheck, kind of what you're saying, but the inspiration there, the opportunity, the experience, you're seeing this shit, you're learning shit, and then you're meeting people, and it's
Absolutely. And I can't stress that enough. The importance of that is just finding something that you want to do and getting as close as you possibly can without knowing with just where you're at right now. Because you can always learn more. You can always look it up later. But get as close as you possibly can to any building that does anything like that, and just get as far as you possibly can, and then start going. Don't wait until you're further along. Just go do it today. Go do it tomorrow. I know we live in the apocalypse. It's a lot tougher to do things now, speaking from this standpoint. But just get as close as you can, because with that bar rescue job, with that gig had nothing to do with cameras. I just happened to be walking into the room where the cameras were, I ended up turning that job into a couple different episodes. And then later on, someone asked me what I wanted to do. I'm like, well, I think cameras are pretty cool. And then later on, like a year later or a year and a half later, I ended up, my job on that show was to unpack and set up all those cameras, those same cameras that I walked in and saw. That ended up becoming my job, was to set up and know how all of that stuff runs. And it was I never could have predicted it. It had nothing to do with anything other than just being there and seeing it like, yo, this is awesome. I want to know more about this. And just asking people questions and doing the work that people ask you to do. And if someone asks you to do something, you tell them that you can do it, and then you figure out how to do it.
Yo, I don't know if you told me that or I've seen or another friend of ours. One of y'all told me that, but like that makes complete sense.
I live by that. That's a Richard Branson quote. It's floating around in all sorts of memes and Facebook and Instagram pages, and I'll reshare it if I ever see it again, and you should reshare it and you should see it, because I live by that, man. That is 100%. It's not the only thing to do, but I mean, that is the way to do it.
I think it was senior, because I think he was talking about getting like a PA job. For those who don't, what's that stand for? PA?
Production assistant.
Production assistant. So it could be anything. That
was that job that I started with.
That's what it was a PA job. Okay, so yeah, I had a friend who was telling me kind of if you want to get into like anything, it's a job if you want to get into film, anything like a music. I'm getting more into, or I'm in more music related things, but to start as a PA. But he would say like, if someone asks you to do something, just say yeah, and then you'll figure it out afterwards. You know what I'm saying? Like
we live in the future. You got a computer in your pocket that can access all the world's information. If you don't know how to do something, you can figure out how to do it on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Lynda, on anything, and you can Google it. You can use Dogpile, GeoCities, Yahoo, or whatever.
GeoCities. Fuck, you're saying some words that are taking you back.
Download it on Napster. You can find out how to do anything, literally anything. You're not going to be a master at it tomorrow, but you can literally find instructions on how to do
anything we've done in our lives, careers. We've pretty much taught ourselves. You know what I'm saying? You got people who may come along the way, and there's school and all that type of thing. But us specifically, you know what I'm saying? Like
I went to a 4-year university.
Yeah, I went to Specs Howard. I did. You know what I mean? But like I've learned. I was in Specs Howard like doing shit I was doing when I was 13, editing video. So I'm in the video editing room like, yo, this is fucking boring. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm already, not to say I wouldn't learn anything extra, like, you know what I'm saying? No. But a lot of it you can teach yourself, you know what I mean? Self-taught. Like
it was the same thing with me with graphic design. I took graphic design all 4 years in high school. I think maybe 3 years, whatever it was. But, started in high school and then got to Michigan State and had to wait 2 years until I could take the graphic design program. And then, to get into the graphic design program, and then finally got into it. And then had to fight for a computer lab time. Well, I already had Photoshop on my home computer, so I just never went to class, did all the stuff at home, didn't learn anything from the classes. Again, the classes were phenomenal, but I mean, it was just me doing work at home, which is exactly what I was doing in high school. And it's exactly what I do now. I just, the best thing I got out of college was networking with other people, and it taught me how I learn. And the best way for me, the most efficient way for me to be able to memorize the things I need to memorize, to be able to store the information I need to store, to be able to just get the right documentation to look in as a reference, the right, whether I need to watch more videos or read more books or whatever it is, or how much preparation time I need to learn something new. That was the best thing I got out of college. Because again, all the tapes and the microphones and all the gear that we used, it's all sitting in a dumpster somewhere. Because I graduated in 2006. Nobody is using that shit ever again. Like it's just never gonna happen. But the tools, the mentality, that's all still there. All the blueprints of how you do that kind of stuff. All the ideas are still transferable, I guess.
With that comes the evolution of, you know what I mean? So I want to speak about that evolution. So you're talking about where you're working the one gig, the PA job, bar rescue. That's the name of the show, right?
Yeah.
So what does that lead to next? I'm not saying directly after, but like if you had some sort of timeline, it's like if you could look back and see, okay, that kind of led to this, that led to that. What kind of happens after that? Do you leave there? Does that lead into something else? Transition?
Yeah, it wasn't a very smooth transition because again, it was kind of out of nowhere. I went to college for digital media, but I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. And I just wanted to be around storytelling and creating. And, working in reality television wasn't necessarily exactly that. But, I mean, there is a lot of producing and story producing and writing in reality television. And it was an amazing experience. But, again, just to double down on the fact that it wasn't exactly what I thought I was going to end up doing, I kind of just jumped at the opportunity. So when that opportunity ended, I ended up wanting to stay more local because I was traveling all over the country, which was amazing. But it was also kind of one of the things I was doing in music and had done that and not made a whole lot of money on it. When I was in Michigan and in the Midwest and playing in bands all over the Midwest on the weekends, it felt a lot like that. And I was still paying my own way and I was still renting hotel rooms and sleeping in vans, and it was amazing, but I was starting to get older and I had already, kind of retired from music before I got into the production stuff. So I wanted to, again, take advantage of the fact that I lived in Los Angeles and I didn't want to go work on a TV show in Nebraska per se. I wanted to find a TV show in Los Angeles. So I took a chance and took off. I ended up leaving the show early before the show ended. I still had more opportunities to stay on, and I chose not to, and it was a tough decision. And I didn't feel like it was the right one at first because I sat at home for a long time and did not have any work coming in and had no idea what I was going to do, and went from I feel like
wait. So I want to speak on that real quick because, like, looking back, so you said it might not have felt right. It didn't feel right, but
I mean, absolutely
staying there
that was the wrong call.
Yes. So talk about that because, like, people might be in that situation now. Like they're made a decision. Like in your gut, like you're saying, in your gut, you knew staying there wasn't the right thing, but making the decision, like, fuck, I'm sitting home now. Was that the right? You know what I mean? So you're like, you're not marinating in your choices, but you're like, you're contemplating, did I make the right choice? But looking back, it ended up being the right choice. So like, talk about the moments where it didn't feel like it was. Like,
yeah, I mean, I can't say that it ended up being the right choice, but I ended up, finding ways to get to the other side of it and move on from there. But yeah, I mean, literally there were a lot of times where I was sitting upside down on my floor with my legs in the air, just staring at my phone. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Just like laying in the middle of the hardwood floor, no clue what I'm going to do or what the other side of this even looks like. I don't know. I'm starting a new career. Is it even a career? Because, there are no career PAs. It's just an opportunity to get your foot in the door, which I highly recommend to everybody. I think that is a way to learn more about something and get hands-on experience that you can't get from a classroom, from a book. I mean, you just can't. So I took the chance, and it, like you said, it was what I wanted to do. I wanted to stay home. I wanted to be in Los Angeles. So I gave up the work and I waited for the phone to ring. And the phone finally rang, and it was a one-day gig. I went in, busted my ass. One day gig turned into another gig. Someone put my phone number over here, met somebody over there. All of a sudden, again, a few months later, starting to get to a point where, I have 3, 4, 5 people that are regularly texting me or calling me or hitting me up on social media. And again, that was one of the only reasons why I even had social media at the time, was just to be able to reach out. Hey, what are you guys doing? Oh, you're in this place working on this show. Hey, how are you? Like, I mean, just reaching out to people and just essentially stalking them. Like, hey, seems like people are doing work over here. I'm just going to
provide your value. Where can you add your value at? Yeah.
A lot of people said no. Some people said yes. Sometimes those people would hand me a camera. Sometimes they would hand me footage to edit, and I would get a chance to learn and do that whole thing. Like, I'm not an editor. Yeah, I learned some of it in college, but it wasn't my trade. Didn't matter. Someone needed an editor. I can edit.
So going back to the whole PA thing or that quote you said, like, it's like, yeah, I'll take the job, you know what I'm saying? But then figure it out afterwards. Unless it's unreal.
You want to do.
And if it's realistic, you know what I'm saying? If it's like, hey, go fly right now, like, or what, you know what I mean? Something just that you can't do. Like,
go direct this Nike commercial. Well, you probably wouldn't do a great job at directing a Nike commercial.
You might look like a 12-year-old did it.
Say, if someone asked me or you,
I'm doing that shit, bro. Someone call me right now, Nike. I got you on that commercial, bro. I got you on the music.
I'm into it. We can make this. We'll just do it in black and white.
We'll blame the quality on the pandemic,
right? And yeah, man, did I make a whole bunch of mistakes. I hit mailboxes with trucks. I forgot to strap some stuff down and had to buy somebody a magic mouse for their Mac, and it was way more expensive than the $10 one I bought for myself on Amazon, but they needed the magic one, and I did not strap it to the truck.
So the fuck ups, yeah.
I mean, there's just some really dumb stuff. Driving down the wrong side of the road, not knowing where you are, stealing parking cones because you're bored and you have nothing else going on, and getting pulled over by the police. There's just a lot of dumb things that happen when you are putting that much effort and living that lifestyle. You end up making mistakes and doing some dumb stuff. But to kind of breeze through that, that whole like production, like PA thing kind of just led into the next 3 years, which ended up just being working on music videos and commercials and documentaries and reality shows, and really working on anything I can get my hands on, and just getting becoming a part of any group of production, people, networking stuff.
Saying yes to everything, basically.
Saying yes to everything.
Someone told me that she's a writer and she's got some pretty successful songs or whatever. But like, that's one thing she told me, because she told me like she was saying yes to everything. You know what I'm saying? And she would say even like events or whatever it is, going outside your comfort zone. If you go to events, she said the worst case is you get there, you're not feeling it, you leave. You know what I'm saying? Or you're not bind or stuck into anything, but at least say yes to it and try. Unless, going back to what I just said, unless it's not unrealistic, but if it's against something you're just not with, you know what I mean? But that's a different story.
You don't
but like,
want to sacrifice your morals and your values,
yes,
things for sure. And if you do walk away from something that you committed to, there's always a chance that you might take a little bit of a hit on the reputation, for sure. That's happened to me a few times. I've walked into a situation like, I'm sorry, a little
fire on the bridge didn't really burn it, but a little fire was there. Some ashes came from it.
There's been a few jobs, I was like, I got in there for 20 minutes. Like, I can call some people that might be better suited for this, but I'm not the right guy for this job. I apologize for wasting your time, but I can't do this. Well, no, you can do this. No. Like, this isn't going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And again, those people have never called me again, for sure. I missed out on some opportunities that I thought might have been good opportunities, good doors to keep open. But whatever my assessment of the situation of what I wanted to do at that particular time, it didn't align and didn't feel like something I wanted to do anymore. And that was kind of the point I wanted to bring up, is that there's kind of both sides of that. Like, while you're hungry, you don't even need to be young, but while you're hungry and you need as much information and experience as you possibly can, say yes to everything. And then as you get better and you learn more and you start to comb through it and get more efficient, then your yes becomes your control. Then you get to be the one that says yes to whatever you want to do.
100%.
Also, on the other side, like, you get to say no. You're allowed to say no. No, you say no too many times, you might not get that phone might not ring from those same people anymore. That's a consequence of that, but you are fully in control of that. And
just an example of what he's saying, like just an example kind of that I'm relating to, is like, I was running a recording studio in Detroit, Michigan at some point, and I was taking clients in, like pretty much all the clients, and some of the clients, like, you're not vibing with the music. So you're sitting in the session and you're just like, man, like, you know what I'm saying? It's getting you. But like one of the girls I was living with at the time, she was like, she's like, just say yes to everything basically. And like, the more you build it, there's going to be a point where you say no to these certain people that you don't want to work with, a certain artist you want to work with, there's certain music you don't fuck with, and you're going to say yes to the things you want. You have control of what you're saying. You have the control to that's just a small example of what he's saying, but that's what he's saying. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can say yes to everything and then build up your shit, and then it gets to a point where you're selective and you have full control of what you're trying to operate.
Because you don't want to jump on the grenade every single time just because you can. You don't want to be the fall guy or fall girl. You don't want to be the person who will do the work that no one wants to do just for the sake of doing the work. But you do want to put yourself in a situation that you will be committed to doing work that no one else will do, because that's how you get anywhere. That's how you
set your pride to the side.
Right. And one of my biggest things is I love to do the work that no one else will do, that needs to be done, because I like to find people that will stand shoulder to shoulder with me and do that work. And then you get to a smaller, more tight-knit group of high-end creative people that will still get down and sweep the floor. They'll still get
That's what I'm saying. Even getting to where you're going, like, there's going to be things you don't want to do. Like, when I first got here, I was washing dishes at a fucking restaurant. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know you remember that. Like, he was we both got a job. He didn't dishwash, but he was, what were you serving or something at whatever it was. But like, I was fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't want to do that, but I had to do it. You know what I'm saying? If I wanted to pay rent, if I wanted to stay out here, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's going to be some things. Some people got too much pride. Like, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that.
Some of the
like,
memories that stick out of my head are watching, $1 million directors, put gaff tape over logos so they won't be seen on camera, so all the PAs are busy. Or a director, moving a light stand because the PAs have a bunch of sandbags in one hand, or they're just grabbing stuff, moving, sweeping floors, doing this. That's the kind of stuff that makes me want to get back up and work even harder. Mm-hmm. If everyone at every level,
everybody's in the mud together, like,
do the work that needs to be done, I will not stop. I won't be the last. I won't be the first person to stop. I will be the last person to stop working. I will work with you until the work is done. That's always been the way that I've always wanted to operate. I've always, said that I match energy. If you're working hard, I'm working hard right next to you. I'm not going to stop and watch you work, and I'm not going to work while you watch me work.
I can vouch from my viewpoint of just seeing how you operate and how you move, like even where you are right now. And I kind of want to talk about that too, how speaking of the evolution, how it lead into where we are today and what leads to that. Because you kind of spoke on it earlier, how you take one gig, that gig leads to this gig, that gig leads to this gig. Like kind of talk about how your talents and everything kind of manifested into where you are today, and talk about a little bit to where you are today, what you're doing today. I want to talk a little bit about your travels, musicianship, creative side, like kind of, and how it led to today.
Yeah, I mean, it ends up being a little more organic than you would think, because just in the stories that I've told today, the riveting stories that I've told today so far, of just being involved in music, being in drums, getting into graphic design and artwork, and getting into camera and production, all the things that I wanted to do with a little bit of professional wrestling, because I started watching wrestling when I was about 3. So add the neon clothes and the production and the screaming and the working out to all of the other things. It kind of just, that's where I ended up going in my life, and what I was gravitated towards in every aspect of my life, from the music to the production to the graphic design. So everything I learned out here and all the random jobs I was picking up was just kind of added into and sift through into my tool belt and into my skill set, and just also helped me kind of just reevaluate constantly what it is I want to do. That was fun. That was cool, but it was too hard. That was interesting, but it's not for me. And you start to just really build those like 3 or 4 or 5, whatever it is, like things that really get you out of bed in the morning, that get you excited. Because, sidebar, I worked in retail a lot in college, and I overslept through pretty much every job I ever had before in my life. Just couldn't wake up in the morning. Couldn't just be bothered.
You didn't care. Your heart wasn't in it. Yeah.
I just didn't give a shit. I told myself I gave a shit. I talked to corporate, and I'm like, no, I care. I wore a little business casual shit. I thought I cared. Did not care. It wasn't until they start giving you the keys to $1 million production truck with all the live footage in the back. I'm like, I'll wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to make sure that gets to where it needs to go. Or I will rollerblade from Mar Vista to Beverly Hills at 1 o'clock in the morning so I can make sure I can get. I mean, you do the things that you need to do if it's something that you care about. And so the whole point of that was just to continue to try to surround yourself with the things that you care about. And because I did that with the drums, with the artwork, with the stuff, and then also kept the mentality of just doing the work that needed to be done, I went from a random PA gig to another random PA gig. One was for a TV show, one was for a private company. And the private company needed help moving boxes, and moving boxes moved into packing up cables, and then wrapping cables up, and then moving stuff from a studio, and then moving stuff into another studio, and then counting T-shirts, and then archiving designs, and then reformatting some of those designs, and then actually designing some merchandise and some advertisements for said merchandise, and then to start filming some stuff. Some live stuff around, because I had the camera experience, and then start documenting some stuff, and then got a chance to continue on with this company and travel and videotape. What am I, 100? And get some live footage on live performances at concerts, because of me being around live videos and music videos and bands and stuff, and then got a chance, because I played drums, to work in on rehearsals and then add another drum set into the live performance, and then switch back and forth with the original drummer, where he would take a camera and I would take the drums, and then turn it into a 2-man drum show. And then got to the point where I was shooting camera, playing drums, selling merchandise, designing clothes, working on graphics, working on coding, working on developing video games. All the things that I wanted to do just started with, what else do you got? What else do you have going? What do you need?
You hear this time and time again. Like, I watch interviews all the fucking time, and like the most successful people, they're always saying that just provide value. Like, what I'm saying? Organically.
Provide value is the number. I will say A, B, C is the number one thing all the time. That's just one of my gimmicks. I
would say organically, right? Organically, just providing value.
That's exactly it. I mean, that is a huge thing. Just add value. Provide value. Genuinely. Absolutely. Not for any selfish gains whatsoever. Not because it's going to make you look good. Mm-hmm. Not because it's going to get you to that next step. You're going to get that promotion. You're going to get that raise. You do it because you want to add more value. And one of my biggest things is I learn how to do something, And then kind of what I was talking before, you add it into your belt. Once you learn how to do it, you can fit it into other things, and you can do it 10 times faster than you can do that. You can compress it, you can compartmentalize it, and all of a sudden you're doing 20 things that used to be 20 individual full-time jobs. You can just be in charge of, or keep track of, or balance a bunch. It's fucking hard. It's stressful, and there's a lot of gray hair under this green.
That's why it's colored. No.
Right. That's 100% the reason why it's colored. But you can start to really balance and juggle those things if you want to do those things. If you want to continue to learn and you want to get better and you want to grow, you can get bigger, stronger, faster every single day. You never stop growing. You never stop learning. And you keep doing that, and you will always have work to do.
So in your experience, providing value, you're saying you're videotaping, you're playing drums, you're doing, you know what I mean? Like, so you're providing this. What is that? Like, what does all that lead into? Like, where does your travel? Like, I don't know if you mentioned really, but that's turned into traveling too. Traveling musicians have been playing in front of crowds and do editing, helping with video games. You said, and like, where name some places you've been. First of all, like that, you providing value and you doing some things that you love that is taking you around some places around the world, right? Like,
the first I had not, up until just a couple of years ago, I had not had a passport. I had never left the continent. I'd been to Canada, I'd been to Mexico a few times, but I had not gotten a passport, had no real desire to leave the country. I always thought it'd be cool, but I was never really had the travel bug. I loved traveling all over the States. You know, I've been to almost every state here in the 50, but
and traveling like to Canada for us, we're from Michigan, like in Detroit, like that's crossing a bridge. So that when we're younger, like we could go over there when you're 19 and party and stuff like, so that wasn't traveling to a different country. So I see what you're saying. Like,
it was like 25 minutes outside the city, and we went there because you could drink at 19.
And even like Mexico,
we went to spring break in Toronto, which I don't know if you've ever been to Toronto in the spring. It's not the best, most exciting.
I feel like even Mexico, like my aunt when we were younger, they lived in Texas for a little bit, and drove us to like Mexico or whatever. Like back then you could just drive there, you know what I'm saying? So you saying you didn't have a passport. So speak more on that. You said you didn't have a passport and then eventually you had to.
Yeah. But kind of to go back a little bit into the story that we were just talking about, the progression of everything with this last and current job I was doing. I was in the warehouse, was doing the t-shirt stuff, and I started, offering up camera services because I knew how to use a camera and I had one. And started doing some photo shoots and some video shoots at the house. And then turns out that they were going on the road to do a residency in Spain and do club shows, and then go on a little bit of a European tour and do stadium shows from there, or festival shows from there. And because I had made it apparent that I shoot camera, I got asked if I would go to Spain. Like, I would love to go to Spain and shoot camera. I just don't have a passport. So whatever I got to do to get a passport, I'm in. And they're like, we have a passport guy. So we called the passport guy. 5 days later, we had a passport. And 2 weeks later, we were in Spain. And when I got asked to go to Spain, I was like, well, coincidentally, the day before, I had just gotten promoted to a full-time job within the company in Los Angeles, where I wouldn't be traveling anywhere. So I was not planning on going anywhere. So I called my friend Floyd. I'm like, yo, Floyd, I just got a job and then just got taken off that job. So do you want my job? Because I can't work it.
Brought his brother in.
So
brought the homie in.
Floyd for a 3-month gig because I was gone for 3 months, and Floyd was there for 3-4 years. And
damn, yeah.
That is just how this stuff works. I mean, because people will always need help. If you to go back with the add value, that's the Gary Vee thing. I live by that. I stand by that. The Richard Branson, the say yes and then do it. One thing my brother told me one time, and it has stuck with me forever to this day. If you do the work that someone asks you to do, there will always be more work to do. So if you want to work with someone, ask them how you can help. Don't be like, how can I help you? How can I, just over and over again? That's one of the most annoying things for someone that needs to delegate work. That's not the right way to do it. But if you just do the work, someone will hand you more work. And if there's more work to do, there's more important work to do. And if there's more important work to do, then all of a sudden you're more involved and you're part of something that you necessarily weren't a part of before you asked if you could help. It's not to insert yourself in a situation, but it's just to double down on providing value. I see that you guys need something. I can do that. Can I help you? No? Cool. No problem. But yes, absolutely. I'll help you. Are we done? Cool. Anything else? Well, do you else? I can do. Not for me. Cool. What you can do? You have full control. You don't have to get roped into anything. But by offering help, if you truly can add value, there are no limits. There just really aren't limits. Like my brain and mind have been just blown to pieces multiple times by not to sound like a douchebag, but the amount of things that I've been able to see and the places I've been and just the
it doesn't sound like a douchebag. You sound appreciative. Like it sounds like you're like, damn, like damn.
Hashtag blessed.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, and gratitude is a huge part of it. That's what keeps you grounded, and it keeps you not a douchebag, and it keeps you, respectful and grateful for the people that brought you up, that came with you, that were there before you, and that will be there after you. Because you are only going to keep going up as long as you're moving in that direction. The second you stop, there's especially in Los Angeles, there's thousands of people behind you ready to take that spot. No, no negativity, no pressure, nothing malicious at all. That's just how it is. So use that to keep you honest. As long as I'm excited to keep working and to keep focusing and keep grinding and to see how far I can push this, then I'm going to keep going as far and as fast and as hard as I possibly can until it doesn't make sense anymore. And it stops making sense and you give up. And I've given up 3 or 4 different times on different stuff. And one thing another buddy said to me, when I was retiring music for the first time, he's like, yo, you can stop playing music, you can stop playing drums for a little bit, and you can learn something else. You won't forget how to play drums. No one's going to take that away from you. That's a skill that you have forever now. That's something that you can do. So go learn new skills. Go figure something else out. And then all of a sudden you'll be a guy with new skills that also can play drums.
Now you're in a different country playing drum. Like
now, literally this as early as or as recent as this year, I was in another country playing drums.
Spain. Like talk where else? Where are some of your favorite places?
In Spain, and that was my first trip. And I didn't play any drums in Spain. I helped set up the drums and helped travel, and got my first show playing drums was in Mexico in 2018. Floyd came with us on that one because Floyd again needed to take over my camera responsibilities, and him and I actually.
I remember he had to get a passport too, didn't you?
Yep.
Yeah. Because y'all were going to Hawaii, I think first. You needed it for Hawaii first, or where'd you need it for that? Or Hawaii? I'm tripping. Where were you going? Where was the first place you needed it for? Oh, it was Mexico. That's what I'm. Yeah, I said Hawaii. Yeah. You said you don't need it.
I got brought on to be the camera guy.
Yeah.
And then I got asked to play the drums, and we needed another camera guy. So we brought Floyd. Yeah. And then, Floyd came to the bigger shows we played up until there stopped being bigger shows.
So Mexico, Spain.
We did Mexico, we did Spain, and then on the tour part of that, we did Finland, Croatia, Portugal, Romania, Bulgaria.
You were somewhere I couldn't pronounce. I was like,
Lithuania. Did you say Lithuania already? Lithuania was awesome. There's a couple other places in there. Thailand, Singapore, awesome.
There's somewhere like I remember the spelling of. I remember you posting. I was like, I couldn't even pronounce how to even name wherever you were at. Do you remember who that was? By name, there was Dubrovnik, Croatia, which Dubrovnik is one of my favorite places because it's essentially Dude Bro, Croatia. Yeah. Shout out to Dude Bro Media.
Although I always say like it's the homeland, so people actually think now that I'm from, like my friends think that I'm from Dubrovnik, Croatia, just because I call it Dude Bro, aka the motherland.
That's his company, by the way. His shout out to Dude Bro Media. What are if you had do you have a few favorite places you went to, top 3 if you could, or
top 3,
some that stand out?
I'd say France. France was another place we went to. I absolutely loved France. I did, the 5 years of French in middle school and high school, and never learned how to speak it. But it was the first time that I felt like I could communicate with pretty much anyone I wanted to in another language in another country and not feel like a weird foreigner or a shitty American. It was amazing. And I still spoke no French, but I could speak English and people could speak French, and I could have full-on conversations and order anything on the menu I wanted to, and buy anything at any price. I was able to walk around, San Tropez or random places, Cannes, just walking around by myself at 3:00 in the morning and felt completely safe and normal. I don't know if I was safe, but I
felt like
safe.
it though. Yeah,
it was an amazing place. So France for sure, it was unbelievable experience. And then Croatia and Finland.
Okay. Yeah, I remember you going to Spain because I was here at the time. I mean, I'm here right now, but I'm, like I said before, I was going back and forth. But it was when, I don't know if you remember, I was renting out that one studio. It was like the Red Studio.
Oh, we had like that place. That place is amazing.
We had some plans in ours. We had we're doing music shows. We had some shows that I was playing, like video stuff. We were gonna work on all this stuff, and we had dates. I feel like we had, and then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, so I'm about to be going to Spain for 2 months. I'm like, oh shit.
That is one thing. Plan things as much as you want to. Be flexible because you're gonna miss a lot of stuff. If you want to live this life, whatever this life is, but if you want to accomplish your dreams and your goals, you're gonna miss a lot of stuff. You just are. You're gonna miss kids' birthdays. You're gonna miss mom's anniversaries. You're gonna miss your friends' birthday parties. You're gonna miss things that you planned. You're going to miss, hey, I need you to do me a favor. Turns out I don't need you to do me a favor because I'm going to be in a different state, a different country. I'm going to be taking this thing. Because if you can leave yourself flexible and open and as low profile and low footprint as possible, then you can literally do anything. I mean, obviously stability is great. Family is important and the number one. So if you got to take care of, you got a bigger tribe, you got to take care of that tribe. That's going to limit, some things that you can do. I chose to make the sacrifices to be a lonely dude and be able to pick up and go wherever and whenever I want to. And I made that decision and choice and lost a few girlfriends because of it. But as early as 18, because I always knew there was something about what I enjoyed that I was always going to just pick up and go do something because it didn't make sense for me not to. I don't, there's a lot of people I have, I have friends from back home. I would love to go there, but I'm like, what do you mean? But,
bro,
I don't, and it's nothing disparaging about anybody at all, but especially people that I love and care about. But I mean, I've never understood that.
It throws us off because we're regular dudes from the Midwest. I was technically born in Texas, but I lived in the Midwest pretty much. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, we're just regular dudes. So things that we've done are accomplished. We're like, what the fuck are you talking about? I just did that. You could do fucking anything. Why you're making excuses already in your head, thinking you can't do it. Whether it's money, whether it's a lot of it's fear and just not. I don't know. Or
it happens the best of it. I mean, I sit there and I justify a whole bunch of stuff to myself all the time, and reasons why. Oh, I didn't do that because of that thing. No, it wasn't because of anything. It was because of me. I am in control of pretty much everything, and the things I'm not in control of, I have no control over. So I really can't really worry about it too much. But there's so many people that it's not a bad thing. But it is what it is. That people just think that there's limitations that there just aren't. There are consequences to every action, but you can do literally whatever you want to do.
In this day and age, you can. You know what I'm saying?
Balance out the consequences with the reward, man. The risk and reward situation.
There may be off balance in opportunities in certain areas of the world and cities and places like that. Absolutely. But at the end of the day, there's still opportunity. It just takes knowledge and education and willpower. I'm not going to negate or neglect the fact that it is, harder for certain people or certain. It's not as easy as for everyone, you know what I mean? But it's possible. I'm not going to say it's easy, it's possible.
No, there's nothing easy about it. The only thing I will say is that it's simple. You figure out what you want and you get after it. It's the hardest thing to do as a person because literally society is designed to convince you otherwise. Why does it sound so simple? You can do whatever you want to do. That's it, man. You feel like the three of us in this room, everyone watching at home, mom, your mom, everyone, whoever's mom's watching right now, why doesn't everyone just go do what they want to do? Because we are completely built to convince everyone else not to. Because we are going to do what we're going to want to do, but we need you to buy our stuff.
And I think some of it's fear too, and just scared or not knowing the power you have. I remember before I came to California, I'd never been here a day in my life. You know what I'm saying? Maybe a different lifetime, but this lifetime I haven't. So it's I remember crying tears before coming, being scared, fuck, you know what I'm saying? Because I took a bus here. You know what I'm saying? My car broke down. I planned on driving here, but I ended up taking a Greyhound. Took however many days. But it's that's some scary shit. And I know one person. I know my bro. I've known my whole life. But I know one. But that's one person in a sea full of. You know what I mean? So it's scary. But it's
and it goes
it's
back
so
to
worth
being
it.
Hard to be out here, man. Because if you don't have a base of people out here, then you're out here on your own. That being said, Gary V is amazing. He has
shout out to Gary.
Some content, some kid wanted to come out to California to be an actor, but he was afraid to do it. It's like, well, you know, you are who you are. You're whatever age you are. You know someone in Los Angeles, whether it's an old teacher or a friend or a kid that busted at a restaurant with you. So you know someone in Los Angeles. If you want to go to Los Angeles and call the person that you know in Los Angeles and just go do it. And the kid's plan was like, I'm going to go to the Army first and get the grant for school and then go to acting school. It's like, if you want to be an actor and you want to do what you're going to do, go do it. You know somebody in California. And
there's excuses. What you're saying, there's excuses too. Like you could put.
That's what that was.
You can have the fear of money too. Like, oh, I don't have enough money. Like, I'm not saying to do this, but I feel like there's a misconception when you move to a new place that you have save up $5,000. You know, I was reading all these articles before coming to California. Save up $5,000. You got to have this. I came here probably maybe $200-$300, whatever I did on it. But like, okay, I'm gonna figure this out. I had a place to go to, thankfully, you know what I'm saying, and it worked out. But it's like, regardless,
how much
I didn't know to like.
You do tomorrow. That's it, man.
You say what?
How much do you need to get you to tomorrow?
Yeah.
That's what you.
And if you have the brain and the willpower, like no matter what I'm doing, it's like because it was some weird shit with the district before I moved here. Like it was we didn't know how long I could stay. Like Floyd was like at first it was like a weekend, it was a week. Oh, actually it's a month, and it turned into 2 months. You know what I'm saying? We just didn't know.
That's how we all came in, man.
My point is like even before knowing, I was like worst case if he hits me up like yo you can't stay like some whatever. Like in my mind I'm like I'll do whatever. I have to stay at a hostel. I have to do this, which I've ended up doing anyway down the road. But like whatever it is, I'm gonna fucking do it. I don't fucking care. Like
and that's just indicative of everything that we've been talking about. Because again, you know, Nate came in the district first. He brought me in because he was leaving. So I was taking over his spot, and then he ended up not leaving. He just wanted to stay there because we were having fun. And then another dude moved out because he got in some stuff. And then Floyd moves in for 2 weeks. Floyd is there for 2 years. Yeah, I was there for 2 months because Nate left. I was there for 3 years. You got there the year after me. Mm-hmm. You got there after Nate left. I mean, none of us were. I think Nate was supposed to be there for 3 because Nate moved out of my apartment to move into that. I mean, that's how everything is out here. I mean, that's a little example, a little diorama, if you will. That's you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. You can never plan too far in the future. You got to be flexible. You got to be able to pivot because if you put yourself in way of the opportunities to do what you want to do, someone's going to ask you to do it, and you're going to have to go do it. And that's just how that works.
It's true. And don't be afraid. If anyone watching this and you're like, damn, I want to kind of go somewhere. It could be anywhere. It could be overseas. It could be anywhere. Like, I'm not even saying move somewhere. If you just want to go somewhere, go there for 2 days. Go there for 3 days. If you can, step foot there, put your foot in the water, see how it feels. Like maybe come back if you want to. Like, there's so much opportunity out there in the world. Don't be afraid or limited to the area you are in the world. Like there's so much out there. Just fucking go get it, especially this day and age. Like dude, he's talking about going from Michigan and traveling all the places you just named. Like that's fucking dope. Like I've seen you posting this. I love seeing that shit. It brings joy to my heart. Like, so like, cause I know, I don't want to say we're regular. Like we aren't shit, but we're just regular.
I was just about to say that, not to interrupt you, but like, you know, again, hashtag blessed. I know how thankful and how grateful I am and how lucky I am to have the people that have come before me and brought me up. And I know you feel the same way, and I don't want to speak for you, but we are regular ass dudes. We are just some fucking down to earth, bearded ass. We're not that bearded right now.
A little low now.
Just gritty dudes, just regular dudes. There's nothing special. I'm not to undersell you or me, but there's nothing special about it. It's just wanting to do some cool stuff. And if you just, I mean, it sounds wishy-washy, man, but like if you just focus on what you want to do and then work towards that, you're going to do what you want to do. I mean, it's, you know, you do that, you give no shit, you take no shit, you cause no harm, and you don't fuck with anybody. And you can literally do whatever you want to do. And you can be happy about it.
How many, just random thought, like the
and
music.
It's going to be hard. Life is going to suck all the time, man.
Yeah, it ain't any ups and downs.
They all looked outside.
Roller coaster. Drumming and overseas, I'm thinking those two things. Like what, random question, how many people have you performed in front of? Do you know the most, like what type of crowds? Like
I don't have a full, no one stood there with like the little counter thing.
Right.
But one show, we heard there was 50,000 people.
50,000 people that you performing in front of.
Now, my gimmick for that show wasn't to play the whole concert in front of 50,000 people, but I played 7 or 8 songs on drums, on stage, mic'd up. It was amazing.
What does that feel like? You're overlooking, you're the drummer, so you're right there. You're seeing everything right in front of you, like a sea of fucking people, lights, like energy.
For those ones, there's been a handful of, you know, 10,000, 20,000. When it gets to be over 20,000, you can't see. Your face just can't recognize that many people, or your eyes can't recognize that many faces.
Right. Yeah.
Process that much information. When it gets to that point, the brain turns off, man. Like I can't even. I've went back and watched footage of those shows. I'm like, was I even there? Like, I don't even remember that.
Blackout.
Just 100% blackout. Like I remember the feeling of playing drums. I remember like the endorphins and the high and everything. And I remember like my elbows out to here, and I remember just headbanging as hard. Like I remember the headache the next day, for sure, not from drinking, but just from this the whole time. And the back pains and stuff, and the loading it also comes from loading the gear and jumping on 20-hour flights. But there's something about like you are controlled by a combination of the energy of the people that are feeding into you, that you're kind of like, I've tried to explain this to my genius brother a few times, and he just looked at me like I'm an idiot. It's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I don't know that anybody does. This might be completely make-believe in my brain. But to answer your question, I feel, at least for me, and I can only speak from my own personal experience, but when I am playing drums, doing something that I love to do, and when I'm playing a show that I think is good, or I'm 100% in the moment, I'm in the moment and I'm not necessarily thinking. So I don't have a whole lot of memories. I'm kind of just not necessarily on autopilot, but I mean, you as a musician, you know what that feeling is for sure.
You're tapped in.
Right. You're dialed in, you're plugged in or unplugged, whatever Matrix reference you want to make. But you're living in that moment when you have that many people, especially, and again, I got the unreal blessed to be able to play with the musicians that I've gotten a chance to play with and play songs that are as recognizable, that have that much of a following.
Speak on that. Speak about the team, what you're a part of. Speak about, you know what I'm saying, who you rock with.
Traveling with Red Foo and the Party Rock crew.
Okay.
Originally from LMFAO, and we play songs from LMFAO's records and from Red Foo's personal records, his solo projects.
For those who don't know, name some records that the audience may know. Or
Sorry for Party Rocking, Party Rock Anthem, Sexy and I Know It, Party Train, Let's Get Ridiculous.
Huge hit. So like you said, you're performing at these shows in front of all these people who these fucking super recognizable songs.
Right.
Like
Songs that people are singing back. And again, not to mess up your floor with all these names I just dropped, but in order to just...
I'm sitting here looking like, huh?
to just mention that people are singing along. They're songs that everyone knows the lyrics to. And if you have 50, 20,000, however many... 5 figures of people that are singing back at you while you are driving the beat at them. The whole point, this is the longest way to explain this made up thing to try to describe how I feel about this, but you're getting their energy and you're giving them energy back. And it's kind of just this big vortex, this cyclical thing that I'm feeding off them. They're feeding off of not just me, but us as the performers, with the video screens and the lights and the pyro and the smoke and the confetti and all the whole big on productions. And there's some kind of electricity and there's some kind of energy that, like, it literally feels like you're blasting it out of you. And that was what I was trying to explain to my brother one time. I was like, I get this, like, I go play drums and I'm getting the energy and they're feeding to me and I'm feeding back to them. And then I go pick up a camera and then I go into the crowd and like they're giving me the energy because they know I'm the drummer. So, man, what the fuck are you talking about?
I think it's the connectivity. I think it's that.
To me, it is the connectivity. And that specifically, again, this ridiculously specific opportunity where I will, start a show on stage in front of this many people and have a camera and get crowd reaction and document the performance. And then halfway through, I'll switch or set the camera down and go play drums and then become a part of the performance where people are, dancing on stage and they're having a good time and they're partying and they're experiencing and they're dancing. And then the close of the show are, for most of the shows that I've done, our our main drummer would come back and then sit on the kit. And I would take the camera and do the finale. I get all, the big confetti bursts and, the crowd reaction. But to go from those drums where you're getting that back and forth and then pick up a camera and then go into that crowd and just like be in the people and have them give that back to you because they know that they just watched you perform. They're sharing that with you. I have, up until that point, I had never experienced anything like that. And again, to tie it all back, to me, it was the closest to professional wrestling that I've ever gotten before in my life until I started training at Santino Brothers Professional Wrestling Academy, which is unfortunately not currently open because the world's on fire. But when Santino Brothers is open again, you should check them out. Their boot camp, it's $100. Floyd. Anyway,
A little
Santino
plug.
Brothers, hashtag Santino Brothers.
That's love.
Shout out Santino Brothers. But the whole point of that was, to be able to perform, but react with the crowd, get crowd reactions, elicit crowd reactions, control. It was.
That makes them. Oh, go ahead.
I don't really have anything else to say. It was just kind of like that. That experience was one of the most ridiculous things that's ever happened to me, and that was my job for 2 summers. Like I got to do that.
Wow.
Every day. I mean, we weren't playing 90 shows a summer, but that was what the job was, to go to a different country and do that and document it and play it and experience that. And it was something else, man. It's the energy that people can give back and forth while they're enjoying a performance, while they're performing. It's magic.
I think that's what it is. Like, it sounds hippie-ish or whatever, but it's the whole, we're all one thing. That's what it sounds like. When you're saying all that, it sounds like when people say we're all one, that's what that sounds like. That's what I can relate. If I could connect it to anything, like, because I hear that we're all one. I'm like, okay, I get it. And I probably said it in my life too. And I felt, what I mean? But that's what it sounds like. Because you're all one in that moment. You remove everything. It's just about the moment, the energy. So you're blasting this energy. They're blasting right back. So you're just blasting energy. It's just reciprocated energy, just life force and just, it's like.
I grew up playing drums, but to double down, I grew up as a random ass kid from the Midwest. I didn't train to be a traveling professional musician. I mean, I wanted to be in a band. I was in a band, but I didn't have that training. I didn't have that rehearsal schedule. I didn't know what I was going into. That's not what I was going for. And just, we were saying, just like getting that energy, like I was experiencing that for the first time a lot of times. And I was kind of just reacting to it naturally and, organically. And just, if I'm getting, if there's 50,000 people, all of a sudden I got to reach higher up here and I got to reach further back and I got to hit harder. I got to headbang harder. And I'm just giving them more like teen angst, like metal energy that I grew up in the garage at my mom's house.
I think it's a drug.
That's exactly it. And I was like, I'm now giving more than I've ever given in my life, like physically, behind it, again, wishy-washy spiritual music stuff. But I'm hitting these drums with force that I didn't know I had in me. I've never done this before. I don't know why I'm here or what I'm doing. I'm just going to enjoy it and make sure that every person out here that happens to be watching me do this, I don't want to ruin their experience. That's the only.
Don't want to ruin their high, blow their high.
I don't want to blow the high. I don't want to be a buzzkill. I don't want.
Bro, everything you're saying, I'm related.
That guy standing.
I don't want to relate it to drugs, but like music is a drug. Like if I'm performing, I get off stage, I'm high. I can't explain it. It's unlike any drug. But what you're talking about is like y'all are high together too. Like y'all experience this drug together. I'm not going to say I've taken any drugs, but I'm saying hypothetically speaking, say a bunch of people took some MDMA together or something, you know what I mean? And they might connect on some other level. The music is, everything's enhanced, but I think our music is that natural drug. Like, and so if it's everyone's experiencing the same thing at the same moment, it's like, it's a fucking drug, really. That's why it's so fucking powerful and so big, and it's a multi blah, 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 blah.
There's a very real reason for it, for sure.
Bazillion, Gillian.
Like documentation you can find about it. My older sister is a doctor of neuroscience and audio stuff, and she studies the relationship between humans and music. And I mean, there's so much stuff. You can go down a bunch of different rabbit holes to find out really how all that stuff works. I have done none of that research.
Same. You've experienced it though.
I've experienced it.
They're writing about what we've experienced. You know what I'm saying? What we experienced.
I couldn't explain. I couldn't articulate it to you in a way that would make a sense.
It makes sense.
Other than that story that I just told over the last 20 minutes.
So yeah. So that's, I don't know, like, that's kind of why I hit you up too. I want you to be a part of this. I want to show the evolution. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we keep saying, we're regular dudes from Michigan. We're regular dudes. You took this opportunity. You took a step. You was in Ohio. You're in Arizona, whatever the fuck it led to here, and then led to this. You took a gig. That one gig led to this. Moving led to, you know what I mean? It's just the evolution. Don't be afraid to take one step. It's one step in front of the other. Like, don't rush. I'm not sitting here trying to preach or like give anybody advice, but just speaking from our experience, it's one foot in front of the other. Like,
yeah, who am I to tell anybody anything? But all I can offer is my experience and my stories. And if it helps anybody, if it helps you, if it helps, our moms, if it helps anybody watching, then that's awesome. Because, this isn't just for me. I've been #blessed, like unbelievable. Can't stress that enough. But if I could share that I am there's nothing special about it. You just got to do the work. And if you're thinking that you want to do something, you're seeing other people do some stuff, but you think you can do that, then just go do it. Don't worry about somebody else doing it, but just figure out what you want to do for the reason that you want to do it, not because someone else wants you to do it.
That's right.
You want to look like something to somebody else. That's how it's going to be pure. It's going to work. This stuff doesn't necessarily work out if you're just trying to get this amount of money, to get this amount of things, to get this person's attention. That's when stuff starts to get really confusing and convoluted, and you get into because
it's intention. What are you trying to attract? Like whatever you're out there trying to hunt, you're probably going to get. So what is, you know what I mean? Like if you're out there hunting for the wrong reasons, they're not.
The universe doesn't understand. It only understands your intent. It doesn't understand the lies you tell yourself. It doesn't understand the justifications that you put on it. It only understands your pure, honest intent. And you don't even have to know what that is, because the universe will hear it before you do, for sure. I've lived that in my life. I've accidentally stumbled into things. Oh yeah, that is what I want to do. Weird how that coincidentally works out. It's just about putting yourself in the situation. The universe can hear you. I know it sounds ridiculous. Watch The Secret. Just do it. It's dumb. Watch it anyways.
Any recommendations before I forget? Do you just started The Secret? Like any books or like anything? I
thought The Secret was hilarious and ridiculous, and I absolutely buy into it.
So what is that? The law of attraction, or what is it? Okay.
And my version of it, not that I need a special version of it, but it just goes back to what we were talking about. Like if you put your pure intent in the universe and figure out what you want to do, that's where you'll go. With the work behind it. Don't be sitting here like on this couch. I'm waiting.
Yeah. You're just thinking all this shit like, what the fuck? It's 5 years. Why the fuck didn't I get that shit? Yeah.
You got to put the work in, and you can put the work towards what you want to do. You write it down. You tell your friends. You start a podcast about it. You put it out into the universe, whatever that means to you. Not
whatever
what I tell you to do, not what Classik tells you to do, not what Gary Vee tells you to do, what feels right to you, what is going to get you in that direction. Because the whole point is you want to be happy doing it. You don't want to do something you don't want to do because you're not going to be happy by definition. And you can have everything you want and not be happy because it turns out you didn't actually want that stuff, because that's how that fucking works.
And don't allow people to steer you in different directions too. You could have an open ear and open mind to what people are saying. If there's any advice or suggestions people are giving you, but don't let them take over the shit.
That anyone tells you.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Do what you're going to do. Listen to everybody. And someone's got some advice, some stories to tell, some experience to tell, and they're genuinely they just want to share the experience with you. Take that experience, take that story, and let them talk. Let them talk. If somebody's doing something that you want to do and they know something about it, let them tell you what it is. Just let them talk. You ain't got nothing to say at that point. All you can do is just sit there and listen. Just keep your head down. Listen to other people that are going to tell you how they did what they do. And you're never going to do it the same way they did it at all. That doesn't make sense. But learn how he did it, how I did it, how Floyd did it. Learn how everybody did it, and then how would I do it?
Take it and apply it to however you're going to do it. Yeah.
That's absolutely it. And I'm still learning that every single day. I'm doing that right now.
Right.
My podcast starts late out. Check out dudebromedia.com. It's not great, but it will be eventually. Dudebromedia.
Dudebro Media. Chris, with that being said, I appreciate you, brother.
This was a lot of fun.
This is cool, man. I'm glad you came by. Like I said, I want you to just come through, share your story. And what you just said a minute ago, kind of, you weren't talking about yourself, but kind of just sit back and listen sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I felt like you have a story that you can, I don't know, I think people can sit back and listen to your story and be inspired by things. I know I've been inspired, which is why you're sitting on this couch. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've seen your story.
Free to not listen to anything for sure. Right. I'm not telling you anything. This is not a how-to. This is me just talking.
This is Chris's story.
And this is just
Chris, AKA,
Jesus.
I feel like there's 4 names you're about to drop.
I'm not proud of any of them, but we got Dude Bro Man Guy. That's the full name. We got The Lazy Hawk. You can find me at Hand Bonanza. That's my personal stuff. That's a long story. It's not even that good of a story. It's an Aqua Teen Hunger Force reference. That's the end of that story. But that was back in the Xbox Live handles that were early enough that I didn't have to put any numbers into it. So Hand Bonanza.
That was the shit back in the day. Random side note, like having usernames and shit back in the day where you didn't have to use numbers and like extra shit. Like it just said something I to get to that screen name first was fucking dope back in the day. I hold
on to that, man. I will not jump into a new social media platform if I have to. If all my names are taken. If my names are taken, I don't use that platform. That's also why I have so many different names. I don't do the numbers. I don't do the underscores. It's got to be just capital first letter. The rest of it, if I got to change the spelling too much, it's not meant for me. Someone's already done it before. So,
all right, bro.
That being said, my
we're out of here, bro.
My last name dot my first name, so that's ridiculous.
So Chris, the Ham Bonanza, that's your Instagram, all that, and then Dubro Media, Instagram, and then you mentioned the podcast.
Dubro Media at Instagram. We're on Twitter too. The Lazy Hawk. You'll find maybe a picture of me and my mom commenting on it because I think she's the only one who follows me on that page, depending on what day it is. But yeah.
Well, I'm sure I'm gonna have you back again one day. Probably won't be in the same location. Maybe we'll switch it up or do something. Who knows what that be? It could be a year from now, 5 years. Who knows? Like
at some point, we will bring you back to the Dude Bro Dojo because nobody knows this, but the first ever Dude Bro live stream came with us, dude. Because the Classik Records was actually in the basement of the Dude Bro Dojo at one point.
Unity Records.
That's what I said.
All right, y'all. We out this bitch. I appreciate y'all for listening. If you made it this far, you were just kicking with us. I appreciate you. Shout out to our brother Floyd.
Floyd, say goodbye.
You want to say bye? Or just you want to? Yeah. So that's Classik Talk number 12. Oh, that's smart. It's my brother Floyd. If you're here in the beginning. Oh, that's smart. Now we're safe. Yeah. And that's it, y'all.
Goodbye, folks.
See my brothers. Appreciate y'all for paying attention. Classik Talk number 12, ClassicTalk.com, ClassicUnity.net, Dude Bro Media, my brother Floyd. More on the way from us. You will see more. We love y'all. Peace out. I can't say we love y'all. I love y'all. I don't know what they do.
I also love you. Every one of you.
Floyd said he loved everybody too, or everyone too. So, all right, y'all. We out this bitch. Peace out.